Welcome to Sweethearts or Rivals. I'm Charlotte.
I'm Justin.
What's on our table today?
Fairy Tale.
It's a 2 to 5 player game.
Yep.
It's good for ages 8 and up. It can take you up to 40 minutes. It's published by What's Your Game?
What's your game?
I can't help it. I have to say it like that.
Yep.
What's Your Game?
And there'll be links on the screen to our overview and our playthrough. What do you think of the components of Fairy Tale?
The components of Fairy Tale are cards.
Yes.
And
that's it.
yeah. I think, though, they're the type of cards that you're going to have to sleeve. Because I'm noticing it's a game that you shuffle a lot. And because they have a black border and a black back, some of them are starting to show a little bit of wear.
Yep.
And say you got one with a great big dent or something, you'd always know it was like, I don't know, what if you got it on that one that there's only one of each in the deck?
Yeah.
Like this one here.
Yep.
That would be like cheating.
Yeah. They're a nice rounded edge, which is nice, and they're a good quality card. But if you play this game a lot, then yeah.
You're going to have to probably sleeve it.
Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah. What do you think about the strategery?
The strategery of Fairy Tale is good. You have the randomness of there's 100 cards, and so you're going to shuffle them out. And especially if you're only playing a 2-player game, there's going to be a lot of those cards that you're not going to get to. And then it is drafting, which is great, so you can kind of pick tactically your, like, what you want to do, what points you want to go for. Are you going to take a risk on getting that one card that requires that one other card in the deck? Like, there's a lot of good choices that way. But I do find that when you're playing with less players, that kind of risk is bigger because there's a lot of the deck that you are not going to get to.
Yeah.
Yeah. Other than that, it is a good mix of tactics and randomness, and it scales pretty well. Like, because you're playing simultaneously, you don't have to worry about there being a lot of downtime if you add all the players.
Right.
It just, you kind of
The
snap
only
it through.
downtime I find with the game is trying to pick what's best for me but leaves you with the least.
Yes, this is true.
Yeah.
And as you add more players, there's a little bit more of thinking that through. The other thing too is when you get to the phase where you're playing the cards and everyone chooses a card and flips it over, you have to immediately check everyone's card to see what it does. And then depending on the cards, they activate in different order. So if you have a hunter card, it activates before the demon powers do, that kind of thing.
Right.
And I guess the last thing that would cause the game to slow down a bit is the iconography on the cards does take a lot of time to get used to.
It is. I still, we've played it a number of times and I still find it tricky.
Yeah. And a lot of it has to do with the upper left corner with the numbers. So you got a number out of 100, then you got a great big number, and then you got a little tiny number, except sometimes the big number isn't a big number, it's a big star, and sometimes the little number isn't a number, it's a little star, and like, what is what?
Yeah.
But as soon as you play it several times, you start to get used to it.
You can adapt to it, yeah.
Yeah. It's just, it's not as intuitive as it could be.
Kaylee, that's the microphone.
It's time for you to go. What about the complexity of Fairy Tale?
The complexity is only complex at the beginning. Because, like you mentioned about the iconography, there's so much on each card, and each card can interact so much with other cards.
Yeah.
It's tricky to keep straight at first.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. The complex interactions of the cards takes time to get used to.
Right. But what I found really useful was actually just taking each card, separating out like each suit or color.
Yeah.
And then really studying each card. Like, once I did that, like I took the time to actually sit down and do that, it made a lot more sense.
Yeah. That helps. And then when you start realizing, oh, the card number 1 for all 3 suits does the exact same thing.
Yeah.
Card number 2 for all 3 suits does the exact same thing. Once you start figuring that out, the complexity really kind of collapses in, and you realize it's not that complex.
Right. It just takes a lot to get used to for some reason.
Yeah.
Well, for me it did anyway.
Yeah. I find the counterintuitive iconography is what makes it seem more complex than it really is.
Than what it is. Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah.
And of course, when you're playing the base game, you don't have to play with the fourth suit or color, the gray cards, because they are the more complicated cards. So you can get used to it, but once you're used to it, you definitely want to throw them in there.
Right, because it adds another layer of interaction.
Yeah, absolutely. Totally.
Yeah, what do you think about the playability?
There's not really a mechanism theme kind of mesh here. It's fairy tale, and all the cards do things that are kind of neat, but it's nice looking, and the different suites are kind of cool. Like the demon cards do things that really mess with everyone.
You said suites again.
Did I?
Yeah.
Suits.
I don't know why you say that.
I don't know. It has something to do with tableau and a suite of cards. Okay. That doesn't make any sense at all either.
Yeah.
Anyway, I have no idea what I was saying.
I think you said the suites of cards are...
Yes. So again, there's not really a theme and mechanism mesh other than making the cards look kind of cool. And I mean, yeah, if you have like a bronze dragon, it gets points. If you have, what are they called? The Knight of the Empire. So apparently they work together.
Right.
Yeah, but I mean, it's really a kind of an abstract game.
It's true. Yeah, it could be any theme. Like it could be ice cream parlors.
Yeah.
Or Sundays or something.
That being said, I mean, the artwork and the theme is really cool.
For boys.
You got cool fairy cards. The dragons are kind of neat.
This style of art does not speak to me.
It's true.
Yeah.
It is a very fantasy-based theme and artwork.
Yeah.
For game length and number of players, again, the game length is not long.
No.
It does slow down a little bit when you're trying to figure out the cards and looking at everyone. What does that do? What does that do? What do I block you on? That kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But really, everyone's playing simultaneously, so it doesn't bog you down too much. And it really doesn't have that much of a change the more players you get.
Right.
So it's great.
And we forgot to actually see what the video was for the playthrough to see if it was actually 40 minutes or not. It did not feel like 40 minutes to me.
No.
I mean, maybe if you had 4 players.
Yeah.
It could, but
I think once you're used to the iconography and you're into the game and you're not finding it complex.
Yeah,
the gameplay
like
is zip zip
my
zip.
hand.
Yeah.
My hand.
Yeah.
And then once you get your cards, it's just like resolve.
Yeah.
Resolve.
Yep.
Yeah. So I think it should be fast, actually.
Oh yeah, absolutely. As for the replayability, especially for a 2-player game where you're not going to hit every card in that deck, every game seems very different. And there's lots of different interactions with the cards, so there's lots of different kind of strategies you can do.
Yeah, it's going to come up different every time.
Yeah. And that very first hand can really kind of inform yourself what you're going to go for. So if in your first hand you got some cards that there's one card in this entire deck that will allow this card to get me points. In your first hand, you might go for it. But if it's your third hand or your fourth hand, you're probably not going to do that because that would just be silly.
Right.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's kind of nice. Especially with all the crazy powers of the gray demon suit. Almost said sweet again. That really throws in a lot of cool little twists. Yeah. Cool. Does it have the awesomeness or the cuteness?
I don't find this game cute at all, so it must have more awesomeness than cuteness.
They're so cute. The fairies are so cute.
I don't know why, just this style of art, like the fantasy theme really always draws me in.
Yep.
I love fantasy, but this style of art does not sing a song to my eyeballs.
It's a unique artwork. I like it. It looks cool. Yeah. It's pretty neat.
Yeah.
Definitely more awesome than cute.
Yes,
but not like blow your mind away awesome.
Right.
Yeah. Would you say Fairy Tail is a poor, good, excellent, or outstanding game?
I'd have to say it's an excellent game.
Yes.
Because every time I play it, I have this issue of, well, I didn't do very good. I need to get better at it. So I want to play it a lot so I can get really good at it.
Yeah. And it's easy to play it a lot because it's quick to play. Right. Especially the 2-player game, just zip, 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 zip.
Yeah, and we have played it quite a few times.
Yeah.
And I'm still not very good at it.
Yeah, I agree. It's definitely an excellent game.
Yeah.
great drafting game, and it drafts a little bit different from other ones because I'm used to a drafting game where you get your hand of cards, you choose one, and then everyone reveals. Whereas this one, you draft secretly.
And then you play your hand.
And then you play your hand.
More like seasons.
Yeah, which is a little bit different. So when you get your hand of cards, you can't be like, well, what is she getting? And what is that person getting?
Yeah, what has she already played this round?
Yeah. So it's a bit trickier that way. But I like it.
Yeah, it's more strategic, I think, than tactical that way.
Yeah, it's true. Because you're building a strategy before you start playing your cards. Yeah. Absolutely. Do we finish Fairy Tale as sweethearts or rivals?
I finished as rivals.
Rivals. Wow.
What about you?
Nice. Sweethearts.
Really?
Yep.
With dragons. Dragons, they eat your people. You're a sweetheart.
Well, none of my dragons actually cause any problems for you.
True. I want my dragons to cause problems for you.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So that makes me a rival.
For me, for sweethearts, because I'm kind of playing a little bit of a solitaire game. I mean, when you get into the second round and you can see each other's base tableau, you can start to kind of like, oh, I can't let her have that, or I can't let you have that.
Yeah.
But when you're drafting, especially that first hand where you're drafting and you have absolutely no idea what the other players have.
The first hand doesn't really, you can't. But I really get AP, like in the playthrough you can see, like I have a hard time to decide a lot of the times which cards to play. Because I'm trying to look over there and think, if he gets this and takes it and plays it, how much points is he going to get? So then I'm trying to,
count points,
and then look and see, well, if I take this, how many points am I going to get? Is that going to be better than his points if I give him this? It's just like,
Yeah.
My brain gets steaming on it almost.
And I guess for me, just because of that kind of blind draft, I mean, even in the second round, when I can see a little bit of information, I still don't know what you're picking for your 5 cards. So I can't be informed.
Well, you can keep track in a 2-player game.
That's true. In a 2-player game more.
Yeah.
And maybe that's why I do better in a 2-player game than other player games. Because we're swapping the same deck of cards back and forth. Yeah. Whereas if it was 5 players, the deck's gone and
And then I could be more... See, I'd rather play with more people because then I could be more focused on my game.
Yeah.
Rather than trying to count your points and my points and then try to determine which is the best card.
It's true.
Yeah.
For me, I'm still just kind of more focused on my tableau. So for me, it's a sweethearts game.
Yeah.
I'm not like, what are you doing? Well, I can't let you do that. A little bit, and it's possible, but not as possible as other drafting games.
True.
Yeah.
Maybe.
That being said, there are some cards, especially in the gray demon deck, that allow you to do a lot of take that. But usually if it's take that, it's everybody take that, including yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for me, sweethearts game.
Okay. Fairy Tale.
Fairy Tale.
Thanks for watching.
Thanks.
We'll see you next time.
Laters. And our cat Kaylee. Hi, Kaylee.
She doesn't have her own Facebook or Twitter.
No.
She should.
Yep. All right. You stay right there and don't mess with our cards.
Yeah, just behave.
There you go.
He said, don't mess with the cards.
What a brat.